Biomechanics is how your body moves, so the mechanical movement capacity of the body, the aspects of how the body moves. It involves the assessment of muscle recruitment, the order in which the muscles work, so that it can aim to help prevent injury, enhance optimal technique, and also help improve equipment using methods of mechanics. For example, when a skier is preparing for a race, they use wax as a mechanical aspect for grip so that during the race they have complete control in where they are moving the skis. Notational analysis is an objective process by which you observe an athlete's performance, whether that be skills performed, movements made, and tactics executed, and then you record the data and present what you find. A coach can use this when evaluating and analysing his or her own team, but also can use this technique to analyse the opposition's performance as well. This therefore indicates the areas of skills that the players need to work on and improve, but also the coach can adjust his or her tactics according to what the opposition's strengths and weaknesses are. The first version of notational analysis was Sanderson in 1977. He used 17 different symbols for 17 squash strokes. The system that he used took 5 to 8 hours of practice before it was able to be used in an actual game situation, so that the data was accurately noted. The data that was produced included winning and preceding shots and created 30 pages of information that was manually recorded. Now that technology has developed, it is much easier to collect data, for instance, via computer, video, or certain apps. An example of this is VAR in football. Performance indicators are performance criteria. They are specific skills that a person carrying out notational analysis is recording notes on to see if the athlete is being successful or unsuccessful when completing these skills. These can be for a team or individual based. For instance, an example of a performance indicator is a chest pass in netball or an overhead kick in football. These skills would be placed on a data sheet for each sport, and then, for example, the person recording the data for netball will see and then note how many successful or unsuccessful chest passes the athlete makes. There are different points you can focus on when completing notational analysis. They include technical, tactical, and movement aspects. The technical aspect of notational analysis focuses on the technical side of the performance criteria to quantitatively define how a skill is executed, so whether the athlete has failed or succeeded in the skill. This can be recorded through percentages. It is used, for example, to highlight a specific skill a gymnast needs to improve on to make their whole routine better. The tactical aspect of notational analysis in the performance criteria is the patterns an individual makes when in a game situation. It is used when a team uses a tactic, and then we see how this affects the performance criteria on an individual. Coaches need to take into consideration of the level at which the athlete is at. So you wouldn't use percentage statistics on young athletes as they wouldn't understand it. Movement in notation analysis is mapping an athlete's movement when playing a specific sport. This could be important as it can highlight fitness levels. It can also be significant when comparing athletes within a team, such as rugby. You can analyse the movement of an athlete much more accurately if the performer you are tracking wears a GPS. The position I have chosen to analyse is a small forward. This position in basketball is typically an athlete that is the most versatile player on court. They are quick and usually taller than the guard positions, but shorter than the centre players. The athletes are responsible for shooting, specifically 2 and 3 pointers. This is because these athletes have the specific skill of shooting accuracy compared with the other people on court, and they are also responsible for offensive and defensive rebounds. I have picked these performance criteria because they are required to fulfill the role of the position I have chosen. If an athlete can complete these skills perfectly, then they are the ideal person to be in that position. In basketball, a three-pointer is when the player shoots from outside an arc that represents 3 points. It is used in basketball to gain the most amount of points for just one shot. This is important when a team is losing and wants to gain points fast, but also useful when the team doesn't have much time left on the clock, as they don't have to make their way down all of the court, so this saves time. This skill is relevant to a small forward, as this is the main role of the position, scoring goals. As a small forward is typically tall, this is an advantage because they get more height on their shot, which means the ball covers more distance and is out of the defender's reach, so therefore is more likely to go in the basket. That's why one of the main skills they need to have is scoring three-pointers. Similarly, a two-pointer is the same, but the shot has to be taken within the arc. Like the three-pointer, the shot is used to gain more than 1 point, and is used when the athletes are getting tired and when they are just missing the three-pointers, as the two-point range is closer to the hoop. In context of the position I have chosen, it is important for a small forward to make these shots, as they are the main goal scorer in the team. It is their responsibility to get the shots in because they have accurate technique. A layup is a technique used by which the player runs forward to the hoop, takes 2 big steps in the motion, and then pops the ball up against the backboard, and it should go in. So the layup isn't a set shot like the 2 or 3 pointers. The athlete has momentum when the layup is performed, but using the layup only gives the team 1 point. It is used when the athlete finds space on court and finds a gap to run into. It is an easy way to score a goal. However, in basketball, you can contest, meaning that if it is a contested layup, then the athletes have to be strong when commanding their space so that they have enough room to perform the layup. That is why it is an important skill to have when playing the position of a small forward, because a small forward's prime role is shooting and scoring goals. They need to know how and be able to complete every type of skill involving shooting. On the other hand, another attribute that the small forwards have is that they are strong and muscular, meaning that when contesting for the ball, they are most likely to come up with possession. This is why 2 other skills that a small forward needs to have is being able to obtain offensive and defensive rebounds. An offensive rebound is where someone on your own team shoots but misses, but then you collect the rebound, so it is used to get another chance to shoot and score, therefore gaining possession back for your team. This ties in with the small forward's shooting skills. If they gain an offensive rebound, then they can score for their team. In addition, because a small forward is tall and has the ability to come up with the ball when contesting, it is important for the player to gain defensive rebounds. A defensive rebound is where someone from the opposing team shoots and misses, but your team gain control of the ball from that rebound, so therefore the skill is used to gain possession from the opposing team. The data can be collected in many ways, whether that be on a computer, video analysis, or live, so manually. The data can be recorded in many ways as well, such as in a tally or in percentages. Equipment needed when doing video analysis is a video recorder, but also a data sheet to record the notes when watching the video back. You need data sheets in all of these circumstances. You need to be clear on what you want to measure, so the performance indicators. Also, to evaluate any data, you need data in the first place. So you need to watch a performance of a certain athlete and then record the specific data according to the criteria you have set. This is the movement element I collected when doing notational analysis. Figure 1 shows the distance covered by all the participants in both the live game and the video game I analysed. In Figure 2 and 3, these are the schematics for both of the athletes in our group, while I studied their movements throughout the court. Both schematics show that the players were very involved in the game and moved about a lot. This is the data I collected from the video video notational analysis I have done. As you can see, I compared two athletes on various skills needed for a short forward in basketball. I have compared Max to George because these are contrasting players, as George is near enough a perfect model of a short forward, whereas Max is not as advanced as George. As you can see, against the group means in figures 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, George is above average. In relation to the position of a small forward, George is a perfect model, as he has all the right quality a short forward needs. These are the percentages that Max and George have in each skill. So this is the percentage of how many successful shots or rebounds they got out of how many attempts they had. In figure 9, I have completed a correlation between offensive and defensive rebounds. I have found that there is a positive correlation between these two sets of data, as the R value isn't a negative number and is close to 1. This means that there is a statistical connection between rebounding offensively and defensively. This data is also statistically significant, as the p-value is less than 0.05. This is the data regarding the differences between the defensive rebounds in the live game and the video game. The mean of the defensive rebounds in the live game was 0.6, in contrast to the mean of the defensive rebounds in the video game, which was 1. In addition, the mean difference between the two sets of data was negative 0.38. However, even though there is a practical difference between the two sets of data, there is not a statistical significant difference because the p-value is above 0.05. One advantage of notational analysis is that you can identify an athlete's weakness, whether that is within a team sport like football or within an individual sport like badminton. So therefore, the coach can apply this data to a training session and give specific feedback so that the player can practice and improve the skill. On the other hand, notational analysis can also identify an athlete's strength. This is important as it enables the athlete to see what they need to focus on less, and so they can concentrate on the skills to improve. Notational analysis can also help a coach make choices on squad selections and to decide to discard the players that are not up to the right standard. It also can help compare athletes that have the same or different roles within a game. Video analysis can also help focus on the wider picture of a game, such as general ground an athlete has covered, the assists they have made, or the defensive role they have. The developed software can also help save time and manual labour. However, a disadvantage is that if you record the data live, then you might miss certain criteria that you are trying to look for. Also, you have to take into consideration the nature of the sport, so if that is a team sport or individual sport, or how many players are participating, or the pace of the game. In addition, notational analysis doesn't take into account the opposition, so the criteria that is recorded is not in context of the competitiveness of the performance. There is also a risk when using percentages, as the results can be ambiguous. Another disadvantage is that you need to have knowledge of the specific skill on the criteria so that you know what you are visually looking for. Otherwise, this could result in the data being recorded inaccurately.